What if monarchy never happened? A continuous alternate history where power was never inherited, only earned. In the beginning, there were no kings, no golden thrones, no crowns, no divine rights bestowed by heaven or written into sacred texts. Instead of royalty rising above the masses, societies formed councils, syndicates, and parliaments from their earliest days. Leadership was chosen, not by bloodline, but by vote, acclaim, or merit. The story of humanity in this world unfolded not as one of dynasties and conquests, but of assemblies and federations. Without monarchy, the path of civilization veered toward something slower, less dramatic perhaps, but no less profound. The ancient world without kings. The fertile valleys of the Nile and the Tigris-Euphrates birthed civilizations, not empires. In this world, Narmer never united Upper and Lower Egypt under a crown. Instead, the twin assemblies of the Nile ruled from both Memphis and Thebes, alternating power every decade, guided by elder priests and engineers. In Mesopotamia, city-states flourished independently. Uruk's Senate of scribes negotiated trade pacts and land rights with Lagash and Kish without warfare for dominion. The Epic of Gilgamesh, in this timeline, was a tale of councilship and democracy, not the struggle of a king to find immortality. Greece still rose, but without monarchy, Athens' model of democracy spread rapidly. Sparta, instead of nurturing warrior kings, evolved into a meritocratic militia republic. Rome, never needing to cast off a tyrannical king, developed the republic centuries earlier and never devolved into an empire. By the time of 100 BCE, there were no Caesars, no pharaohs, no divine emperors. Power resided in forums, plazas, and public houses. Authority was questioned, debated, and earned. Religion and rule, without kings to declare themselves divine or chosen, religion took a different shape. In Judea, the Davidic line never existed. Prophets rose and fell, but no Messiah king was promised. Christianity, lacking the narrative of King David and later Jesus as King of Kings, emerged as a faith of wandering teachers and egalitarian principles. Bishops never became princes. Islam, still founded by the Prophet Muhammad, emphasized shura, consultation, as the permanent model of governance. No caliphs, no sultans. Islamic cities were led by elected judges and scholars who shared authority in rotating councils. In India, the Mauryas and Guptas never emerged. Instead, confederated republics of the Ganga Plain co-governed vast territories, guided by Vedic councils and trade syndicates. Hinduism never merged with royal patronage, and caste rigidity was challenged earlier. Religion became a source of philosophy and community, not political power. Temples and shrines remained sacred, but not sovereign. The medieval world reimagined Europe never saw feudalism take hold in the same way. No monarchs meant no lords by divine inheritance. Land ownership was negotiated among guilds, communes, and collective boroughs. Peasants weren't vassals, they were stakeholders in local assemblies. The Crusades never occurred. Without powerful monarchs to fund and rally them, the Christian world had neither the military strength nor the ambition to launch religious wars. Jerusalem remained contested, but trade routes between East and West grew steadier and richer. In the absence of royal courts, universities became centers of power. The University of Paris, Bologna, Oxford, they weren't just places of learning, but halls of governance. Scholars became politicians, and philosophers the architects of policy. Knighthood faded into myth. In its place rose the Order of the Compass, a global guild of engineers, architects, and peacekeepers trained in civic duty and rational ethics. The Age of Discovery, without kings and empires. The 15th century came, but Columbus had no Queen Isabella to back him. Vasco da Gama had no Prince Henry. The age of exploration came later, slower, led not by flag-bearers of empire, but by merchant consortiums and scientific leagues. When Europeans reached the Americas, they arrived with maps, tools, and treaties, not guns and crosses. There was no doctrine of discovery, no divine justification for conquest. Negotiations with native confederacies became the norm. The Iroquois League and the Andean Sky Councils formed joint navigation schools with Scandinavian and Italian mariners. There was conflict, yes, but it was not genocide. Africa, rich in gold and knowledge, developed faster connections with Europe and Asia through trade partnerships and university exchanges, not slavery. Without empires, colonialism never became systemic. Cultures blended through exchange, not bloodshed. The industrial age and the power of merit. By the 18th century, The Enlightenment had no monarchies to challenge. There were no let-them-eat-cake moments, no Bastille to storm, no divine right kings to guillotine. The American Revolution was unnecessary. The colonies were autonomous trade republics from the start. Technology boomed, not under industrial oligarchs or royal charters, but under cooperatives and innovation councils. The London League of Engineers, the Canton Steam Consortium, and the Delhi Artisan Syndicate drove global innovation. Patents were shared under ethical commons licenses, and open invention became the norm. Railroads linked the world, not to serve empires, but to connect people. Steamships navigated canals built by city unions, not by slaves. Labor rights evolved faster in the absence of inherited elite classes. There were no kings to protect the status quo. The 20th century, a warless era? Without monarchies, there were no crown-fueled rivalries, no World War I triggered by royal cousins in Austria, Germany, and Britain squabbling for influence. Without that war, there was no punitive Treaty of Versailles, no humiliation to radicalized German citizens, and no Adolf Hitler rising in a broken republic. There was conflict, economic collapses, ideological divides, skirmishes, but no mechanized world wars. The 20th century became the century of federation. Continents began aligning into cooperative unions. The North Atlantic Assembly, the Pan-African Compact, and the Pacific Confederation emerged to stabilize trade, promote peace, and manage technology. Global warming was addressed earlier. Without colonial extraction, the world's natural resources were less depleted. Sustainability was built into the very fabric of economic planning, overseen by regional eco-councils. The United Nations, formed in 1925 rather than 1945, had real authority, driven not by victors but by mutual representatives. The world in 2025, Earth united, not ruled. A child is born in Nairobi, and her birth is registered with the World Civic Ledger, not a nation-state's royal registrar. Her parents vote annually for local delegates, who in turn vote on continental representatives. In Vienna, the Institute of Human Affairs, a descendant of the Enlightenment salons, hosts global forums streamed via public infowebs. No monarchs wave from balconies. Instead, representatives debate openly in circular amphitheaters. Cities have charters, not royal decrees. Education is a birthright. Healthcare, housing, and nutrition are governed by efficiency indexes and citizen feedback algorithms, not aristocratic whim. Culture flourishes. Art is not patronized by kings but funded by public merit grants. Poets, dancers, sculptors all elevate public imagination through community vote and peer recognition. Religion remains diverse and celebrated, but no faith holds secular authority. All temples, mosques, churches, and shrines operate under the principle of spiritual pluralism, protected by law and upheld by civic oaths. There are no national anthems written for monarchs, no coins with crowned heads, no wars fought for royal pride. Instead, the human anthem is simple: earn your place, share your power, and never forget we all began equal. Conclusion: the wisdom of the many. Some argue that monarchy gave us history's great moments: the pageantry, the legends, the triumphs of Alexander, the legacy of Elizabeth, the drama of Napoleon. But in this world, the moments of greatness came from the chorus, not the soloist. Progress came not from mandate, but cooperation. Mistakes still happened, but were corrected by many hands. Without kings, we learned to trust the wisdom of the crowd, and in doing so, we built a world ruled not by blood, but by brilliance.